Hello, and we are so glad that you are joining us for another Keep Michigan Learning webinar hosted by Michigan Virtual. I am Angela Shields, and in today's session, we are joined by experts from Ann Arbor Public Schools. During this conversation, we will discuss some key considerations and strategies related to teaching in virtual learning environments for summer school. As we look to keep Michigan learning on our Learning Continuity website, we do have many resources available along with additional webinars that would be of interest to you and your school, so please feel free to check that out. And according to a May 4th article on chalkbeat.org, as the summer months approaches, school districts across the country are grappling with big questions about how to hold summer school at a time when helping students catch up has a particularly high stakes, and the months to come may be devoid of activities that usually occupy children and teens. Already, some cities have announced that summer jobs programs may be canceled, and many beaches, pools, and parks may also be closed. Many districts are still deciding whether they should try to offer summer school in person or online, whether they should dramatically expand the number of students who attend, and whether the program should focus squarely on catching students up in core subjects. Yet for some districts, the decision has been made to provide some form of summer school, and most of them will do it remotely. Ann Arbor Public Schools is one such district in Michigan. It has created customized online options for their students. Today, we will speak with their leadership about opportunities available for summer 2020. And we have an amazing team joining us for this conversation today from Ann Arbor Public Schools. We have Dr. Daniel Hilliard, Cindy Lehman, Michael Somerton, and Anthony Lawyer. As we look to the background on the Ann Arbor programs, Cindy, can you please kick us off and elaborate on how your district has decided on these online summer options? And then Daniel can share his
Thanks, Angela. I would be happy to provide some background of what Ann Arbor has done. We've always held a face-to-face summer school, and last 15 years, we've had an online summer school for our students. 2 years ago, Ann Arbor added enrichment and bridge programs to the traditional summer offerings. But now with the shutdown, we figured that we needed to change our summer school. So we've expanded our summer programming. All of it this year will be remote, to provide students and their families with greater access to instruction, excellent teachers, and engaging learning experiences during the summer months while students had limited face-to-face activities such as camps and summer jobs for students. We also wanted to make sure that students were given the opportunity to recover credit, shore up skills, take initial credit, and make sure that they were able to move to the next level in courses such as math and science by re-engaging in the content they had just learned.
Thanks, Cindy. In the high school programs, we've always used different forms of data, perception data, demographic data, student success data in order to drive our programs. So we have innovated our curriculum as well as implemented new programs to continue to get better and better. And Mike's gonna start us off with how did that program come in place to where we were 2 years ago to where we are today.
So the first piece we looked at was our curriculum, to make sure we had curriculum written to give traction to kids who had trouble academically, and make sure that we had put in place curriculum and just a way of doing instruction that would resonate, that they could attach to, that would allow them to do what they hadn't done the previous semester, which is be successful in the course. We had already finished that process, as well as looking at how we staff to hire out of summer school. We look at summer as a 5-week interview process where we look for staff. We've hired staff throughout the district during that process, and a way of peding teachers to change how they teach. That was the innovations we had done in the first 3 years of summer school, and now we've redone some things for the shutdown process. Then you're going to talk about our interviews.
Yeah, so the process came about once the district approved that we were going to go forward with summer learning and use the virtual program. We wanted to conduct as many individual interviews as possible so that way we could gather data to get a perspective on what did other educators throughout the state feel was the best approach to work with students and to move forward and to continue to close that achievement gap. So we conducted numerous interviews with multiple stakeholders, including professionals from Michigan Virtual, educators of the year from Michigan Virtual as well, principals and teachers and students from the Ann Arbor Public Schools. So once we conducted that interviews and gathered as much data as possible, we were able to move forward and decide what was possible. And Mike's going to share a little bit about how do we get to that process of understanding what was possible.
The first piece was we had to, in some ways, forget what we had done in the previous 3 years and be open to something totally different happening, which is what we did. The stakeholder interviews made that real clear, that our curriculum focus face-to-face wasn't the right focus for the virtual format. And so we turned our energies towards building a multi-tiered support system for kids to connect with, so we can make sure that kids are successful, connected in a personal way with a teacher, with administrators. We had a support staff that could help them get traction in what we were doing. The other piece was teachers have taught content for a lot of years, but this format is different. So trying to give them a workable framework where students are receiving about 60 minutes of instruction a day, a lot of question answer, and we're changing up the way that the content's delivered from direct to indirect to small group discussions, so it stays fresh for students and they can move forward and get help and get a conceptual understanding of what they're learning.
So our learning process in the summer school program that we ran, that was direct instruction, we always tried to implement innovative strategies. So we were moving forward with different types of curriculum innovations in the learning sciences, so that way we could find better and more effective ways of working with students that were not meeting their academic potential. So we feel very comfortable in our process of developing the online platform that we were going to be able to fill those achievement gaps academically. Our biggest fear and concern was how are we going to continue that connection with the students? It's a smaller format. Our program is roughly, 250 to 350 students, all direct instruction. And so we wanted to continue some of that perception data that we'd had in the past of, students felt more comfortable, students were working in smaller groups. And so we spent a lot of time gathering data and understanding what was it that we were going to do to best connect with our students. So some of those processes we'll get into a little bit later, but that was a definite focus of where we wanted to transition our program now as we innovated during this pandemic of how are we going to connect with students in an online learning platform.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing that. As we look to what A2 Virtual has done, Cindy, would you please share some of your expectations that have been established?
Sure, Angela. There are different expectations for all of our programs, but at A2 Virtual, we don't view our classes as having any daily expectations. We like to think of online learning as any pace, any space learning. So we have our students managed on a weekly basis so that it fits their schedule and we can personalize the curriculum for them. Our classes are completely opened. They get all the content at the beginning and they get a pacing guide. So we try to encourage that they complete a week's worth of work from Monday to Sunday so that we manage them on a weekly basis. And we're looking for approximately 15 to 20 hours of work and learning from each student to accomplish 5 weeks in the summer because it's the same course that they would get in a 18-week semester or a 12-week trimester. They're just compressing it into a 5-week time frame. Our lessons are given to the student, as I said, right at the very beginning. So they have this flexibility to learn topics, to finish units, and to complete their assignments as they wish. There is no synchronous learning requirement in A2 Virtual. As far as our parents, we like to think of our parents as partners with us. We love their input. We hope that they are daily working with their students, making sure that they're working throughout the week. We have our teachers respond to parents on a 24-hour, within 24 hours. And all of our teachers often are emailing our parents the progress of students. And of course, anytime that they see that there's a critical juncture that a parent needs to intercede in, that goes out right away. We work with our AAPS high school staff and with trying to make sure that our courses are aligned within the curriculum. In the district, we use the curriculum map that the district uses, which is through Atlas, so that our courses align completely. We usually have the students take a district common assessment, so we keep ourselves in line with anything that would go on within the high school building. And to personalize our curriculum, like I said, we open everything up at the beginning, and that allows students to be able to look at their own schedule and to be able to pace themselves within this 5 weeks to be finished with what works at their family and in their personal lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Sounds like that it's very well organized. And Dan or Mike, I would love to hear about what you're doing with your programs.
Sure. From our student perspective, our program will be both synchronous and asynchronous. Our students can expect a live message daily from our principal or from me or Mike, because we wanted that opportunity for students to have that ability to connect. So we're going back to feeling confident with that academic perspective that our students are going to get those key concepts or key areas of learning that we found, our curriculum chairs have found the gaps in the learning. So we're going to focus on that academically, but we're, as administrators and leaders of the program, we want to make sure our students are connected with the principal, with their teachers. So there will be live messages from the principal and from their instruction. And we'll do synchronous time for 60 minutes every day, where students will get 15 to 20 minutes of live instruction from their teacher. That will also incorporate some back and forth conversation, as well as some asynchronous time for them to work individually. Those days will change, so that will be a Monday, Wednesday format. Our Tuesday, Thursday format will be more of a small group synchronous time where students will have that opportunity to work with their peers, a peer-to-peer learning. And also our instructors will implement office hours. And so those office hours will be what students, for students that can go in and get a little bit of extra help from that. From our parents' perspective, and so our Fridays for our students, what they can expect is the social emotional support. We've implemented student reflection journals, and in those journals, students will have an opportunity to just share with the teacher in a safe way of how they've learned, what's the best approach that they've learned, just implementing that metacognition so that the students will feel comfortable and hopefully reducing some of the anxiety of this learning process.
The other piece with our programs, we run kind of a myriad of programs in the high school, summer school gamut. But Dan just talked about our remote learning recovery, but we also have bridging programs where we work with our EL students that have WIDA scores between about 2 and 4. We have a program that helps them transition from 8th to 9th grade to make sure they have the academic literacy pieces in place so that they can be successful in 9th grade. We also have a program called Academic Youth Development, which works with mathematics and growth mindset and problem solving to help students who have passed their 8th grade math class, but were definitely not in the AB range, but had struggled a bit, and trying to bridge them up to the AB range and be leaders in their Algebra 1 classes moving forward. We also have an SAT program, which this year has been modified to be a for all. So we have an invite for students who have financial need and have scores between 800 and 1,000 on the PSAT. We work with those students with SAT coaches and ELA and math. We give them a couple practice tests, and they get one-on-one coaches to go through the results of those tests. Our for all for SAT prep now, every student can take the practice test, go through a self-paced version of that course, and get feedback on their scores on one take of the SAT. They can go through individually with the coach every single portion that they struggled with. So those are the bridging programs we offer as for summer as well.
And Cindy, A2 Virtuals options this summer? I want to make sure Cindy's off mute so we can hear how her programs are working this year.
Thank you very much, because I did have it on mute, so I apologize for that. Our options at A2 Virtual are our regular online courses that we have for students. And this is a cost bearing. And so that students who wish to take initial credit, they can take from any of our offerings that are offered through our AAPS teachers. And we partner, as always, with Michigan Virtual, and we offer a full contingency of courses through Michigan Virtual. These are our normal cost-bearing courses. But this year, we've had a summer special because of the pandemic, where students will have a no cost option so that they can retake some courses that they've taken during the pandemic. And we have offerings for any student that is not an Arbor Public School student, but they can still take our courses. And we'll explain that later on in the slide presentation.
The virtual high school program, the goal of the program previously was for students to be able to earn credit for courses that they did not earn credit for in a previous semester that are required for graduation. That purpose doesn't change for us, whether it's an online or a virtual program. We want to continue to offer that opportunity for students to recover that credit. The structure of that changes a little bit. And so obviously we'll not have the opportunity to be the direct instruction, but we will have the opportunity to use a virtual platform, and our virtual platform will be the Schoology platform. The Schoology platform connects directly with PowerSchool, so that will give an opportunity for not only for parents to monitor their students' progress, but it'll be something familiar with students. So we wanted to try to keep our CLP, or our continuous learning plan, as similar as possible for students while we transition to this virtual program. I stated previously that we wanted to focus on connecting with students, and that was our main priority, is that we're working with a population of students that are not meeting academic potential. So we wanted to be able to have the opportunity to connect with them, and that will be reinforced from valuable information that we gathered from some Michigan virtual teachers that shared with us about their welcome week that they do, that's regular for Michigan virtual. And so we're going to implement that welcome week, and that welcome week will consist of just the nuts and bolts of the program, how to get through Schoology, how to submit your assignments, how to you know, are they going to be able to connect to the program. A lot of that is also reinforced from our registration process, and Mike will talk a little bit about that registration process and how that connects with the technology questions that people may have. But the goal of going live and having a combination of a synchronous and asynchronous program, or a structure of our program, the goal of that is to give students some normalcy, to have them be able to see us, to be able to talk to us or interact with us. Those live sessions will also be recorded, but they're not going to be, those processes are actually going to be about motivation, different supports, that we can offer to students that maybe will spur some thought making future plans. And we have a process for that. So if anybody wants to see what that process is going to look like, to please reach out to us individually. And again, the structure of that is going to be focusing on the key academic concepts. This is a 5-week program. It's a Monday through Friday program. It's set up in sessions to where students can get that semester credit. But those key academic concepts are really focused around data analysis and item analysis, if you will, of all of our district-wide assessments and our SAT or PSAT scores that have consistently showed where do our subgroups or where are our students not performing at the level that what the expectation is in Ann Arbor Public Schools. So our key academic concepts will focus around that. Mike's going to talk a little bit about the second part of our virtual high school program, which is incompletes.
As Dan mentioned, with registration, we did individual invites, so students would see the classes that they weren't successful in that we teach in summer, a link that for their ability to make up that coursework. And we, like Dan said, focused on just the standards that link to the next class, the ones that our data shows are most important. So like a focus standard or a power standard model that our teachers are working with to construct those classes. For our incompletes this year, it's different than in past years. A lot of things are different, but we have students that have been assigned 18 assignments this semester, which they have to complete 10 of. So part of our incomplete work is students that fell short of that 10 marker, that we want to have teachers and support staff to connect with them and help them finish remaining assignments to get to that mark of 10 to get credit. That's our second semester incompletes. Our usual incomplete process, we have teachers identify what skills a student is lacking in a course. And as opposed to taking the entire course, the student just hones in with a one-on-one teacher in an online format like we are now, to hone in on those skills, work on those skills to mastery. And then that grade, that work that they did, goes back to their previous teacher. They recompute the grade as if they had passed that portion of the course, and they get the credit and grade to match. So that's been a very successful program for us. It allows kids to focus on what they need to focus on, not entire classes where they've already mastered some of that content. So that platform, that centralized incomplete form, goes to the entire district, and teachers select items and skills that directly match our Edgenuity classes. At this point, Dan's going to talk a bit about our data from last summer school before we did the change.
Thanks, Mike. So we keep a lot of data, and we use this data really for how are we going to innovate the program for the next school year? How are we going to set metrics for ourselves as leaders to see where we need to improve, and what are some areas that we want to have for the students to better connect. So this is just a simple data set on the number of students and the percentage of those students that earn credits. And so we're using this data now as a goal for this school year, because we want to continue this success that we've had. Now, that doesn't mean that some of our programs won't change, or even if we have 100% success in a particular class, that we will continue to innovate. Because our goal, like I said previously, is in that direct instruction or this online format, is that we want to be able to implement new and improved learning processes, and really support the learning sciences, so that way students are always getting better and better. So with this data, you can see that 96% of our students that participated in our direct instruction program, of the approximately 250 to 350 students, were able to earn credit. Now, the students that weren't able to earn credit there were a number of reasons, whether it be attendance in the program, or decisions that were made during the direct instruction. And so the data is also here because the one thing that we've learned is that we still want to keep that, I don't want to use the term strictness, but we still want to keep that, the firm expectations of success for our program. So that's a work in progress. What is that going to look like during this pandemic, if in the past we've used attendance as an issue to where a student could stay or not stay in the program? we really, as leaders, are working on what is it that we're going to use to keep this program firm, so that way students can see the success that we've had and continue that success.
Those are such excellent plans, Dan and Michael. Thank you for sharing those. And as we look to A2 Virtual's programming, let's have Anthony tell us a little bit more about that. And I want to make sure that Anthony also has his speaker off
Sorry
of
about
mute.
that. I was excited about the data that they shared.
I know.
I'm always reminded that we spend a lot of work working together, Dan, Mike, and I, and Cindy, to make sure that students get in the program that fits their needs and where they're going to be successful. And so we spend a lot of time looking and counseling counselors and students and parents as the differences in the program. Because as I'm going to show you in the next couple of slides, is the A2 virtual program serves a different population, or meets the needs of students differently than the programs that that Mike and Dan are running. So this first slide, we just kind of took a look at the data from last summer. And the thing that sticks out the most, you'll know from that pie chart, is about 82% of the students that enroll with us are taking the course for the first time. And so a large population of our students, they're looking to accelerate in the curriculum, or trying to get graduation requirements out to give them some flexibility when they return in the fall. You also notice, like, we have 459 enrollments, and our completion or credit rate is 93%, which we're really proud of in terms of meeting the needs of the students moving forward. Now, this summer is going to be a really busy summer for us. We opened registration 2 weeks ago, and we've already had 650 students enroll with us this summer. So let me kind of go in a little more detail about the different programs and what we offer parents and students during the summer. The first is our special no-cost option. We're really proud to be able to offer this to students and parents. Basically, what we saw was a need to fill some of the gaps that students are experiencing in the current experiences that they're having. So what we wanted to be able to do is offer students an opportunity to retake or fill in the gaps for courses that they're currently enrolled in during semester 2 or trimester 3 in our district. For us, that also would mean that we're offering our middle school math students access to our online courses as well, to help them be better prepared to start the school in the fall, or to fill in some gaps from what they're currently working on. So the thing to remember with the A2 virtual is we're basically taking the same courses that we use during the school year and just condensing them into a 5-week summer term. And then the other thing that makes our program unique is that we're also offering grades to students, as opposed to what our current plan is to give students no credit from the traditional. So this no cost option also allows students to earn a grade, because they'll be doing the complete curriculum with assessments. And so this will allow them to get grades for transcripts and so forth moving forward. So the second option is what we traditionally run in the summer program, is a completely virtual online option. This summer, we were also excited to be able to reduce the fees for our parents to make it more accessible for students and parents, which is basically what happens with our no cost. The only difference is there's a fee, and the students have the ability to take more courses in this program. We offer our first semester courses, so we have some students that try to do Geometry A and Geometry B during our summer term. We do limit students to taking 2 courses, and that's a combination of courses between our program and also courses that they may choose to do in the traditional setting with the other program that we were mentioning earlier. We want to make sure that students realize the amount of work that they're going to be exposed to, and we really think at 2 courses, as Cindy was mentioning earlier, at 15 to 20 hours per course per week You know, when you get to 2 courses, that's a lot of time in front of a computer and working on content. And some students will excel at that, and some students will be better served with 1 course. Now, for our students that are taking 2 courses, we generally try to set it up so that they're going to be successful in that. And so one of the ways that we do that is by what we call stacking them. So in our course, in an online course, they can just work for 2.5 weeks on 1 course, complete that one, and then if they have time, we'll let them move to the second course. If they don't, if it doesn't look like they are able to complete the second course, then we don't require them to do that second course. The other thing to note with this program is that one of the most important characteristics for us and student success is that these courses are taught by AAPS teachers using AAPS curriculum. So the students are familiar with the teachers, and the teachers are familiar with the curriculum and how it's being presented. The last option, which we're always most excited about, is our partnership with Michigan Virtual. We offer all of the Michigan Virtual summer courses to our students, and they can take it to improve a grade as long as the course is the same. They can also take it to earn initial credit. This is where we kind of started our summer online learning program 15 years ago, is by partnering with Michigan Virtual, allowing our teachers to be mentors for students that are taking Michigan Virtual courses, and having that support structure in place for them to be successful. So the reduced fee, we're also able to offer for the Michigan Virtual courses. We reduce that for our students to, again, make it more accessible. And then what helps students the most is by having a mentor assigned, which is also an AAPS teacher. So students really have an AAPS teacher to help support them with the navigation and grades and so forth. And then they have the Michigan Virtual instructor that's there as the expert that does assessment and feedback and ensures that students are successful. So in the Michigan Virtual courses, there's really 2 layers of support for students, which is great. So Cindy, do you want to, before we transition to Cindy, there's one more opportunity. We also offer our courses to students outside of our district. We have some students that their local district doesn't offer any type of online summer opportunities, so they will take courses through us, and then we provide them with a transcript that they take back to their school. And so those courses this summer, we're offering at a regular, at our traditional cost, and then we just add a little bit of administrative fee because we have to generate accounts and generate transcripts and so forth, which takes a little bit of extra time. So I'm going to turn it over to Cindy to see if there's anything that I missed. And I know she has some takeaways that she'd like to share.
I'm remembering to unmute this time before I start talking. So, no, I think, Anthony, you covered it all. The only piece that I wanted to add that we didn't get to before was that one of the changes that we made is in our proctoring. We normally require students to proctor in an online program, which means they need to take tests in front of our staff in a secure setting. And because there's no face-to-face, we haven't been able to do that during the pandemic, and we don't expect to do it during the summer. But they still have, they're still required to take the tests, and there's authentic assessments. So we use a balance between them to authenticate the work. Now, what are some of the key takeaways this summer for us? I think what we're trying to offer is we want students to have the ability to work on initial credit. This allows them to advance their high school studies, and it opens other opportunities for specialized electives. This year, we also added a layer of learning since the pandemic has reduced the normal school learning that would normally occur for students. The district has graciously picked up the fees and the costs and allows students to retake one class in its entirety. And we really see that this will probably be for a course that may be more consecutive or that is a building block such as math or science, where they'll need to have taken the full content to be fully prepared to move into the next level in those courses. So students have the opportunity to choose one of those courses this summer and retake it for free. We've been operating business as usual. We're the only program in Ann Arbor right now that offers grades. Everything else is credit, no credit, and we're going to be continuing that this summer. And the reason is that our courses are full in content. They offer everything that would normally be taken by a student in any term. Our biggest change this year is how we're using the CARE Act to provide this for our families who want to keep their children learning. We're excited to be able to expand our online course opportunities. We've already seen an increase in the number of enrollments. We opened our enrollment May 1st. We run it all the way through June 29th when courses start, and we are already 50% more students than we were last summer. So we are already seeing that a lot of parents are looking for these type of opportunities. They really want to expand learning for their students. And so we're very excited that the district has decided to use some of their CARE Act money to subsidize the learning for students so that it becomes accessible to all. Thank you.
That's fantastic information, Cindy. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Dan and Mike, can you tell us some key takeaways from your particular programs?
The first piece, we wanted to provide an opportunity for students who struggled academically to get a head start in a new online platform, which our district is turning to, and so that they are ahead of the game with that. And then the rigor of the last semester was not the level it will be in the summer or the fall. We wanted to make sure we can get kids a jump start into the pace and expectations ramping up for the fall, if that's what school will look like. We're still working that out as a district. I think all the districts from the state are grappling with that. We wanted our students who struggle to have first crack at understanding those pieces. We also wanted to make sure we connected with parents to get technology to students to know that so that they know we're partnering with them. We want their children to be successful. And do you have anything else you wanted to add about that last piece?
And I think the key takeaway for us is just an opportunity and to continue to provide opportunities for kids that didn't meet their academic potential, whatever the reason may be, and just continue to move that graduation rate and close that achievement gap. That's our key takeaway, no matter what the platform or the process is, connecting with kids and providing opportunities for them to become better students or and have that access to that.
That is so awesome. Thank you, everyone, for sharing this information about your programs. It truly shows your commitment to excellence in education and learning. And even despite a worldwide pandemic, there are resources and ways for schools to continue the learning and to excel the learning. And so here are some helpful resources that we would like to share with you. The website for Ann Arbor Public Schools, also our webinar series to help teachers and school leaders, summer learning options that are provided from Michigan Virtual, and also our Michigan Cares program, along with our learning continuity website. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Ann Arbor Public Schools leadership. We are truly fortunate to have your expertise shared with us today. And as you'll see on the slides, there is the website for A2 Virtual and also for Ann Arbor Public Schools High School Summer School website. Thank you for your time and have a great and safe summer.